Senate is now in session. President of the Senate, Katai, is currently swimming and diving, so I'm here today. I was previously presiding officer back when it was known as presiding officer, so I know all of the Robert's Rules of Order stuff. Feel free to ask me any questions with a simple parliamentary inquiry. So we'll begin with the roll call. All right. President of the Senate, Katai, is not here. Administrative Coordinator Welch. Here. President Becker. Here. Vice President for Academic Affairs Murphy is me. Vice President for Student Affairs Tumbu. Treasurer Ercolani. Here. Assistant Treasurer Weber stepped out but is here. Ace Chair Mystic. Also stepped out but is here. Services Coordinator Tivitemwa is also swimming and diving. Swimming. Concerts Chair Christensen. Diversity and Outreach Coordinator Logan.
Here.
Senator Stallings.
Here.
Senator Christian.
Here.
Senator Donamede.
Here.
Senator DeVega.
Here.
Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Gumidiola.
Here.
Senator Jones.
Here.
Senator Mendel.
Here.
Senator Zernig.
Here.
Senator Nieto.
Here.
Senator Goldammer.
Here.
Senator McDowell.
Here.
Senator Tesar.
Here.
Sorry if I got it. Senator Pietrasanta.
Here.
Senator Collinger.
Here.
Senator Ashton Aveling.
Hello.
Senator Adhikari.
Here.
Senator Goswami.
Yep.
ACES Co-Director DeRoche. ACES Co-Director Coleman. ACES Outreach Coordinator Preston.
Here.
Green Fund Co-Chair Snodgrass.
Here.
Technical Advisor Gould.
Here.
Chick Delegate Cheslak.
Here.
All right. Next we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Do I have a second for the motion, the approval of the minutes? Yes, Senator Goldammer. All right. And without any questions or comments, we will move into voting on the minutes. All right. Polls are open. Please vote. A is in favor, B opposed, and C abstaining on your clickers. Boom, 7 seconds. Y'all are really good at this.
Records.
All right, and the minutes are approved. And with that, we move on to the public comments, announcements, and any additional events. DOC Logan.
CAB applications will go out this week. I can't promise you like the date, but they're gonna go out this week. Look out for them.
President-elect Logan is what I should have said there. Other comments, announcements, events? Yes.
There will also be applications for Tiny Dorm and Freesound out soon.
Those are out, right?
Well, Tiny Dorm is out, Freesound will be out shortly. So look out for those.
Any comments, announcements, events? Yes.
I have a question. I know that free STI testing got moved to this week. Does anybody have the time and the date for that? Monday?
It's 10 to 2.
Monday, 10 to 2. Other comments, announcements, events? All right, seeing none further, we will move on to the budgets, starting with the ACE budgets. ACE Chair Mystic is not here right now, and we're moving very quickly. Treasurer Ercolani, you want to cover this?
Yeah, All Campus Events Committee did two things during committee today. The first was we considered one budget, which was for food to be food and snacks and drinks for the ISO cabinet candidate debate or speech giving panel. That was passed in full with a slight addition in order to make it, better in what the committee's eyes were.
Point of order. Can we get the budgets on the screen or?
There was an issue with being able to update the forms, so right now it's not. I can check my records for how much that was, though. 127? Okay. And then the rest of the committee was spent discussing, thinking about films for the rest of the semester. That'll be continue to be considered next session of the committee. So if you are at all interested in talking about what films SGA will be screening, show up to 226 for that block of rooms somewhere next Sunday at 2:30.
Any questions? Yes. Okay. Questions, comments about the ACE budgets? All right. And there are none that are over $1,000, so we do not have to vote, but that will move on to the SPC and the services budget.
Yeah, I'm
All
covering
right.
that. And I'm sorry that I didn't get the stuff on the spreadsheet. I'm technologically incompetent and it's kind of on me. Yeah, so anyways. We had a budget over $1,000. It was, I believe.
Me.
Yeah, it was $1,106. It was for Connecting Grinnellians, the elementary school initiative, washers and dryers. Yeah, and we approved it in committee. And by me, I mean Quinn and I, because we were the only people there. But yeah, I don't know what we all think, but we do need to approve it here, so, yes.
Could you clarify what the budget's for?
Yeah, Carlos, you wanna take this?
Yeah, sure. So the Davis Amelia and another student named Michael are working on developing and creating an invisible resource closet at Davis Elementary School that will also assist Fairview and eventually Bailey Park. And Davis Elementary School asked for a washer and dryer to help make laundry more accessible for students who are low income and maybe don't have an opportunity to wash their clothes. And also some ways that we can wash donations into the invisible closet. Food, I mean not food, we're not gonna put food in the washing machine, but clothes and other stuff. And so they originally asked for about like $700, but the washer and dryer that they asked for didn't have really good reviews, and we were nervous that we didn't want to invest in something that was going to break. We had to put more money in, so we just asked for a $1,100 washer and dryer, just so that it makes sure that it doesn't break and it lasts for a lot longer. And so that's pretty much it.
So my question is, while I am totally for this budget and its purpose, is this really where it should be coming from?
Services?
Well, is that not something that the college in and of itself should be doing? Or, I mean, because this is coming from student fees, and while I would totally support my student fee going towards something like that, I'm not sure if this is necessarily where this would be coming from. So is there a justification for this, or is it just because it's the quickest way to get it done and it's something that needs to get done?
I guess so what would be your understanding of the services budget? What would that be going towards then, just out of clarification?
Right, I would think that it would involve, if, I get the services for the community, that it would involve student impact in the community and being involved in the community, and maybe just buying this washer and dryer, I can get how that would qualify for that, but I'm not necessarily sure that I am totally cognizant of that, that actually is really what that would be for. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just wondering if there was any attempt to try to get the college itself, or petition some other organization that maybe would be better fitting for that.
There's a RAINAR grant that's $3,000 to $4,000, $3,000 to $5,000 that is coming out soon, that's accessible and open to any student who's interested in doing service in the Grinnell community. That's going to be posted in probably the next 2 weeks to the CLS. However, the reason we came to the services committee was because the washer and dryer was asked immediately, and so we, instead of having it be something that comes down the road in 2 weeks, we thought that we'd just come and see if we could get it through services. But I totally, it's just, there really isn't another platform besides the CLS that you can get money quickly to do stuff service oriented. And so that's why we came, but I would love to talk to CLS about having something like that, but it's just kind of difficult. And I think Amelia might have something to work on.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense. I think this is probably, this is the most accessible money.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that moving forward, we should try to think about how do we reach out to CLS to make something that's more accessible when it comes to something like this, as opposed to it coming out of SGA continuously. Yeah, but I should say that I am definitely in favor of it.
Senator Zitter?
I just want to clarify with Trevor or Kalani, the entirety of SGA funding comes from the student activity fee?
Yes.
Correct? So then, and then a portion of that is set aside in your breakdown of the budget for ACE, SPC services, et cetera,
Yes.
then I would like to voice my support for this just on the basis that our student activity fee, one of those activities that students participate in are service-oriented programs that go out into the community and support the community, and I think that's a really important part of being at Grinnell and using our privilege and giving back to the community that we receive a lot from. I think that that's an important part of what the student activity fee pays for, is for recirculating that privilege.
Senator Coulter?
Just a question to the treasurer, is there an actual budget like sheet that's filled out that we could see, or
Yes, there is.
could you send that out maybe, or?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to see it before we vote.
I want that going to Senator DeVega.
Yeah, just small question. I know that Joshua is not here, but I was just inquiring what the entire SPC budget is going into the vote.
Yeah, this would come out of the services budgets.
Yeah.
Um,
What's that location?
Yeah, let me pull that up, just to
Oh.
make sure that my number is absolutely correct. The services budget for this semester is $6,050, which does not include the amount allocated to services during the interim allocation phase.
Further questions? Yes.
Were there other places that you asked to purchase for, like going straight to services?
Nope.
I saw, yes.
Kind of unrelated but also related. Does this set up a sort of, I guess along these lines, would it be possible for to acquire funding for student, I guess, residences to purchase laundry and dryers, like that kind of stuff? Is it possible to do that through the SPC, or is that,
Define student residences, do you mean on campus or off campus?
well, on that?
Yeah, SGA has in the past put money into Res Life to get those dryer and washer replacements expedited. However, at this point, it's barely worth the time and energy to do it, let alone the cost, because of the fact that Res Life and FM do whatever they want when they want to do it. And our input doesn't much change that process. I mean, we continue to advocate for those changes to be made, but we don't have the funding to be able to do that effectively as an institution.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I remember Josh, the services chair, saying that there was money left over in the service budget last semester, and that like,
Yeah.
we want to encourage people to be applying for that, for that money more. So I think this is like a perfect example of a project to use services money for, and so I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, so I just want to ask, like, where they're going to be installing it, like, how it's going to be installed. Do they have all of that figured out? And are students going to have to bring their own, like, detergent and, or fabric softener, or are you guys going to be providing that as well?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So there is a washer and dryer set up in Davis Elementary already that was in use, that broke. They were old, and the nurse who covers Fairview, Davis, and the middle school, as well as the social worker, both participate in getting laundry done and washing clothes that put into the closet, and so does Connecting Rebellion, we participate in washing those clothes and getting them into the closet. So that's on us. And that system, the place is already set up, we're just replacing an old broken washer and dryer. So the plumbing is already in and the location is already determined.
Yeah, follow up.
And I'm just looking at the link too. I'm not really sure, like, it says like buying options and it doesn't really say how to buy it or like how to ship it. And like, could you like clarify like what exactly is happening? Like,
It's my budget, you know, I'm the one that can answer the question. So, the link is the link that the school sent us after we asked them to pick a better one. And so, per the mission of Connecting Aliens, we just use what the school asked us so that we're not trying to impose any, whether that be materially or ideologically, anything into the school. And so this is what she said that she was able to find and what she can purchase. But I will also say, like, as long as there's a washer and dryer in there, it doesn't really matter if it's like $1,106 or like anything else. I just want to make sure that it's appropriate and we're effectively using our resources. So if it's like $1,100, that's the problem. I'm totally fine if you guys can find something better or are willing to work with that. This is just what the school found. And yeah, so if the problem is the price, then like, obviously that's negotiable. But if the problem is the actual like getting the washer and dryer, then I would definitely advocate that it's necessary. And also the detergent and stuff that we were talking about comes through the invisible closets. Like we have a ton of laundry stuff. Yeah.
Have you requested enough money for shipping?
Yeah, the shipping will be covered. Yeah, the shipping will be covered.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no. Yeah.
Can I move to vote on this?
I see a motion to previous question. Do I see a second? Yes, Senator Vega. All right, sorry, we have a vote on the motion to previous question. This needs 2/3 passed in order for us to move into the vote. And the vote is open. All right, and this is simply a vote on whether or not to vote.
Oh,
Yes, this is a vote on whether or not to stop discussing and move into a vote. This is not a vote on the budget, just to be 100% clear. This needs 2/3 approval in order for us to stop discussing and move on. A is in favor, B opposed, C abstaining on the motion to previous question. All right, we're looking for 19, so until it gets to 19, make sure that your vote is counted.
Still waiting on one more. Sometimes if you click it really fast after I click start, it doesn't take it. So just like hit it again, just in case.
All right, we just need one more. If not, we're going to close it up in like 10 more seconds.
So my remote turned off. Do I have to
Oh,
re-put my thing back in?
I don't think so. I think you should be able to just turn it back on.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it dead?
No, it's good.
It just went to sleep. All right, so we're gonna. Oh, there it is. Was it that?
That was not.
All right, the motion to previous question does pass, and we now move on to the vote on the budget for 1,106.
Yeah.
All right, $1,106 protecting your values for the washer and dryer. The vote is now open. A is in favor, B opposed, and C abstaining.
Just one more.
Make sure you voted, otherwise we're just going to close it after a minute, after it's gotten to the minute mark. We just need one more. We want to make sure your vote is counted. Please try clicking it again. Just go to your clicker, even if you thought you did it, just go click it one more time. All right, and it's closed, and the budget passes with 78%, 14 in favor, 2 opposed, and 2 abstaining. All right. With that, we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is updates from the SGA Technical Advisor.
All right, the form for student initiatives is open. We've had 35 submissions so far, which is pretty good considering it's still open until the 23rd, I think. The website, the SGA website is mostly updated for this semester. I think just the class ambassadors page I have to do. If you notice any typos or information missing, let me know. We've found a few typos, like during campus council or student senate so far. So some things that are sort of in ITS support that I'm waiting on hearing back for is getting a web checkout library for SGA to help us better keep track of our inventory. Sometimes things go missing, and this would really help us keep track of things and hold people accountable for the things they borrow. The holdup on this is figuring out how to let us manage the inventory without giving us admin access to like every single thing in Grinnell's web checkout, which would include like all the ITS loaner laptops and cameras and stuff. So we're offering a workaround we're happy with for now, just to make it happen quicker, because we just absolutely need this this semester. I know Miles has been waiting on this for a while, since you were at SGA Tech, right? Yeah. Bothering ITS to get SGA better Wi-Fi, just putting a wireless access point right in there because it's absolutely terrible right now. Getting class ambassador emails fixed. They said that they didn't have access to their accounts. I'm not sure if that's been resolved or not, but I just got a message from the second year CA email today, so maybe it's been fixed. And we're working on getting student groups websites under the SGA website, so every student group, like clubs or anything that's supported or just in general registered with SGA, in addition to be able to get like a club email, but also be able to get like a club organization WordPress site, like clubname.sga.grinnell.edu, that they would be able to manage. They're working on the policy for that this month, and I believe it could be implemented in April. Bothering ITS about the feasibility of putting CA status on DB, so it would be easier to find out who the CAs are for certain floors, possibly putting professors' office hours on DBs, and then perhaps offering the like optional pronouns for everybody on DB as well. So like it would be an opt-in thing, but just offering that as an option to have alongside your other info on your DB page would be really cool. Following up on the student initiative from last year, bothering ITS and seeing if it's possible to get the Adobe Creative Cloud software suite for everybody. And looking into getting single sign-on for Qualtrics to reduce any worries about voter fraud, which isn't really a problem, but it's just kind of annoying that they said that we can't have it. Single sign-on is basically if you want to vote in a poll or ballot or something, you would have to log in with your Grinnell credentials to be able to do so. And then some things that I still have to do yet are look into getting SGA our own clicker set and camera and tripod, so we don't have to be bothering ITS every week. And getting the tech committee underway next month. I have members, except for senators. I will have Dylan reach out to you guys once I sort of write up something that defines exactly what technology committee is. But if anybody is interested, just reach out to me and I'll send you the link that I'm sending everybody else out, where you can indicate your availability so I can choose a meeting time. It would just be once a month. And last thing, sort of a long-term thing, reopening an investigation into getting flat screen TVs into all the dorm lounges. They're super outdated, and last time we tried, it just didn't have support from ITS or Reslite. So maybe things have changed for a year. That's it.
Are there any questions? Yes. Okay. Questions, comments on the technical advisor report? Yeah.
I just want to say what a great job you're doing, Addie, and how much I personally, and I think all of us appreciate doing the work that you do, and how you take this position to actually work to make students' lives easier and better.
Comments? No? All right. Seeing none, we are going to move on to the last item, which is the reports. All right. And so we will begin with the report from Administrative Coordinator Welch.
I have nothing to add.
Nothing to add, questions? Yes.
Can you speak on the meeting that you had with Kingston and Angela, please?
I'd love to, Senator College. Thanks for asking.
My pleasure.
We'll see. And I hope that the rest of Cabinet chimes in to remind me what we talked about. But we did spend much of the second half of the meeting with Radar like talking at us a lot about like the college's investment practice, which is pretty interesting. And we might maybe in the future set up like meeting with the chief investment officer just to like learn more about that and be able to like share with all of you. We learned about the location of the Peace Rock. It's buried underneath the snow near the Quincy stage. Riley doesn't believe.
I just walked by there. Seriously, afterwards, I'm going out there and I'm going to go stomp on the snow and look for it. I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. That's okay. So the Peace Rock is allegedly buried underneath the snow.
Was it just exposed like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I wasn't there, but anyway.
Well, no. So was there or wasn't there?
The Peace Rock was not there last I saw.
Nobody's confirmed it's.
Yeah. They say
where was it sealed? Last
It was in the spot. Okay, I don't know. Should I get over there? Did we not already talk about this? Peace Rock was over there. I thought it was gone. I asked them whether it was gone. They just say it's under the snow. I'm going to go investigate a little bit right after this. Anyone can feel free to join me. I really don't think the Peace Rock should take this as a private Senate.
We gave them an update on KDIC, the status of KDIC, which did we? I don't know if we gave an update last week, but Michael Stins is working feverishly as usual to try to get the radio repairman out to Grinnell to fix the antenna. And apparently it's really difficult, but he's really doing everything he can. There's like this weird like I want to say like trust of like radio repairmen and the state of Iowa. That's what I'm picking up. It like sounds like it's making things very difficult. Yeah, we did like also like a little bit of like debriefing like the board of trustees visit. Does anyone else want to add anything?
You started talking about the investment practice. What exactly did you say about it?
Gosh, some of it's hard to understand. Miles?
So I think the big thing is that the college, with the size of its endowment, typically reaches out to industry professionals for recommendations on how best to invest it. I think the issue is that those professionals want to be attached to that investment in some way and have voting rights on the determination of what we do and do not invest in. The only way we can do that up till this last board meeting was by adding them as full board members, which gave them purview over a lot more things than what they really wanted. So they've consolidated the investment into like effectively a separate subcommittee, such that you only have to be a member of that committee in order to have voting privileges on information of what we do and do not invest in, as opposed to being an entire board member. I think that was my understanding.
Just to clarify on that, basically Grinnell College created a shell company that was delegated power by the board of trustees to control the investments. That way people can be board members of this shell corporation, control the investment without having to be a sitting member of the board of trustees as a whole. That way, yeah, I mean, like they created a shell company, so if you hear anything about Grinnell College, like the Grinnell company or something, I don't know what they called it, but like, it's just to make investment easier and to be able to basically do what the life trustees used to do until they got rid of the life trustees like Warren Buffett. And so that way we can have outside help of people who aren't on the board, who will still have a fiduciary responsibility to Grinnell College and have some like investments themselves into seeing the growth of our endowments.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask if that is that circumventing or working with the system of financial managers that we've been working on?
Working with. Yeah, in that this company would basically make the same decisions that the investment committee has already been making, just with a broader scope of people being able to present their ideas to the company.
Other questions on Ms. Welch's report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to Treasurer Eric Lonnie.
Nothing to add.
All right, yes.
I wanted to ask about how well you guys are doing with the announcement that like clubs are going to have that required meeting for funding, because I only saw it because of like, someone sent me the picture, and that was on Facebook, and so I thought that was like a concern that maybe you guys can send out like an email, but I know you guys are with emails and stuff, but I wanted to speak to that.
Yeah, so actually, any and all questions you have about this event, I'm happy to answer. This is like my baby. So, we're going to be sending out an email by Wheeling and Joshua to all the student groups on campus. Basically just saying, probably more emphatically, like, be at this thing, or set up a meeting like separately. Also, hoping to send out an all-campus email soon. Also, we'll be posting probably a lot more on Facebook in the days leading up. But yeah. So, yes.
Is there gonna be like a penalty if you don't go to it?
Yeah, that actually, I did say that in the post. We'll be sending the email as well. This is an event that is mandatory to be funded, like from SGA. Right now, student groups on campus, most of them, as far as I know, do not have financial records, which is like technically not supposed to be allowed, but we've allowed it for many years, and I want to change that. So this event is going to be mandatory to receive funding. You don't, if you can't make it, you can set up a separate meeting, but like we need to meet at some point with leaders of student groups to set up financial records.
Senator Nelson?
Oh, sorry. First of all, like, good on you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. It's really good. Second of all, who or what is kilometers?
Apologize. Reverend President Becker is calling.
All right. I'm gonna try to go in the order I saw them, so Senator Vega.
Yeah, could you also clarify, what groups that are not in business yet, so future groups, how will they receive funding if they can't make this meeting?
So I think it's just going to be part of the policy from here on out that anytime someone wants to form a student group, it's actually very simple. We're not really asking for much, just a spreadsheet where you log like the funding that you're receiving and your expenses. And then like also educating people on how to submit budgets and receipts properly. I fully recognize that part of this problem is that we have not been clear enough in the past and have not made resources available enough to people to like let them know how to do things like the way that we want them to be done. But like that needs to be fixed. I want to fix it. Speaking of which, if you guys like want to talk this event up to the student groups that you're in, people you know who are in student groups, like please do. Don't be food.
So I saw Senator Zernick.
I wanted to ask the resolved contract issue, does that have to do with what you mentioned last semester, there being inconsistencies with terms and speak to that?
Not actually, but that issue was also resolved. The resolved credit card issue on this one is that every single person who normally works with credit cards of Grinnell College in the accounting office was out of the office for a considerable period of time, which brought in some issues on my end because I didn't know they were going to be out of the office and some things got backlogged, causing some problems with purchases. So some organizations had purchases delayed for a while, and that has been now resolved because I figured out who the fifth person in line outside of that normal process is that I need to go to in the future. But yeah, that has been resolved.
Yes.
Thank you, Amanda. That's really important. I think a lot of student groups are very disorganized. But I also had a question. Because generally how funding works is you're really only spending money, as in SGA kind of spends the money for you in most cases, right? Because you're submitting, or you've spent the money out of your own pocket, you have like a receipt that gets back to you about that. So the question is what happens after we submit a receipt, because I don't know what happens after that. And if that process is fairly organized, why does this need to happen?
Yeah, so, okay, actually, so first of all, what happens after I submit a receipt is, well, you submit a receipt, is I put it in a spreadsheet where we can track all expenses. I fill out a check request form, I send it to accounting. Accounting either reimburses you through your direct deposit, like account that's set up with the college, or they send you a check. In terms of why this needs to be revised, it's not that part of the part of the process where like it gets sent into accounting and the accounting sends you your money. That is fairly organized. Mostly what this is about is just like I get a lot of receipts that are just stapled like around the entire edge of the receipt, and I have to take all of those out, like fucking one by one. You know? So it's like there's that. There's just like generally the way that people submit budgets, which like honestly, it's in the interest of the student group that budgets are submitted in more detail, like with more attention to calculations. And I just want to like make that clear to people because I completely understand why you wouldn't know. It is not a clear process, and I want to make it clearer.
And you see President Marco.
Another thing that I want to add is I think that I see this move as like a small part of a bigger move to SGA working to have like more contact points with students instead of it being a system of student, SGA is a wallet, gets the money, leaves. I think that we'll use our resources better if we're working more in partnership with students instead of us as like you just come and just get the money and we just give it to you. And so I think that this is kind of like a building block on other things that we're working on doing to create those access points between students and like SGA members.
Just for the meeting that you're gonna have about student groups, if like representatives you want your to make the meeting,
Yes, please schedule a meeting with us outside of that. Like we have office hours every day. Hopefully you all know that. If you don't, I mean, have they been updated on DB?
Your episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my office hours are on DB. So, or like I'm happy to make time some other times. It's mostly just like it's easier to have everyone be at the event because then it's like half an hour. We're just like, here's how you set up a spreadsheet. Share it with us. Here's some documents. There you go. But we're happy to meet you guys at another time. Don't worry about it like too much, but also like if you can, please be there.
Further questions on Treasurer Lonnie's report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to Assistant Treasurer Weber's report.
Yeah, nothing bad.
Questions or comments? All right. Diversity and Outreach Coordinator Logan.
I am so sorry for not sitting this in time, y'all. I am a time challenge. The two biggies that I've been working on, one, this outreach survey that Outreach Committee kind of started last semester, and it's going to look like 3 different things. So one, we wanted to organize kind of like small group sessions with students from all different class years, majors, interests, clubs, activities, just to get them in a room and ask them a few questions about what they spent their time doing on campus, how they engage with SGA, if their experiences have been positive, negative, how we can better serve them. And then it'll also consist of some tabling with some like super quick questions, just like how's your academic experience 1 to 5? How's your work experience? Just so we can get an idea of like the average person where they're at with like these broad things that you do at Grinnell. And then also working with Addie to get a campus survey set up that will have a little bit longer, more in-depth questions that we don't expect to get as many responses to as like the quick tabling, but will give us a little bit more information. So that's one thing that I'm working on that I will be sending probably maybe asks for like, please help table, please pass this link on, please sign up to focus group. Oh, the thing about the focus groups, they will be paid. We are paying students for their time in 2019. And then the other thing that I'm working on the Council of Diversity and Inclusion, they're looking for students to give any time in a classroom that you've either felt in your identity like positively affirmed or felt good or felt just like good in that space, or if there's been a time that a professor in some sort of academic setting has made you feel like negative about your identity or uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be something that like was reported, just like any little thing. These should be personal experiences, but if you guys have any of those to share, please shoot them to me. They will be completely anonymous, but they'll go to help work on materials for faculty training. And if you get anyone else that has these experiences, I do want them to be first person, so I'd ask them that you just pass them to me, but that would be super, super helpful. Those are my two biggies.
Questions, comments? Yeah.
I have a couple questions. Formal outreach committee meeting?
As soon as I get my outreach senators. I don't know exactly which.
Get them tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow, whoever's on outreach, I'll just send out a doodle poll, and then I'll prioritize the time of the senators that are assigned to outreach, and then I'll try to find the time that costs me. You had one more question? Yes.
The survey that you were talking about, asking for experiences and classrooms, is that for all students on campus? Like they can, like anyone can send you a, okay.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
Yeah, did you know, I just want to make sure, so the survey, because I'm going to try to send out the minutes.
Yeah.
Did you ever send out the minutes?
I didn't. So I don't feel any pressure to like say anything to your constituents just yet. But those links will hopefully go out like tomorrow. Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Seeing no other questions or comments, we'll move on to my report. I have nothing else to add. Any questions? Yeah. That was the bit what we talked about last week. That survey about like academic driving. The like reward thing is supposed to be Bubble Day, and it's like a thing. It's like a. It's the concept is like if a certain number of people take this do this survey, like if they reach a certain point, then like basically it would just be like there's an event where like there's a bunch of free stuff and like talking or like food trucks and like stuff that's like things that students enjoy. And somebody was asking for ideas, like the person who wants to put it on sent us an email saying like giving us like a pretty like meager budget that was like for like just like actually like bubbles and like bubble gum. And so I said some things that I was like I looked up some stuff on Amazon that was like these big bubble makers and stuff, like things that I was like, oh, this is actually cool, and I sent those back because I was like, please consider fun things for Bubble Day. So that's what Bubble Day is, and that's like my dream for Bubble Day that I don't know whether or not it will come true.
Can you say Bubble Day one more time?
Bubble Day.
Can you talk more about like how the decision as far as something like when it's being started?
Yeah, so the staff like to be an editor. The application is out. It should be in your inbox right now. After that, that's when I'm going to like determine actual scheduling. It's based on when the people who are hired are free. But this application is not the only way to get involved with the journal, just to be clear. There will later be an opportunity for you to obviously submit your work, as well as to be a like anonymous reader of papers that will be anonymized so that you don't know who wrote them, and you can give comments and feedback as the peer review process is. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Ciel?
What is the reaching out to profs for SGA enrollment?
Yeah, it's really good. We have like a couple of things where like we need a professor to be like part of something if need be, and like my job is to just find those professors. And so I basically need to find professors who are like willing to serve on student government committees if necessary. And I just have to find someone who's willing to do that. Yeah.
Could you elaborate more on what would their roles look like if they do a certain exchange?
In the, like for the professors, the biggest one is the Judicial Review and Oversight Committee, the same thing that we, the confirmation that we did last week, that requires a professor to be on it. And so I just needed to find a professor who's able to do that. Yeah, that was like the biggest thing. But finding a professor who wants to be part of the Judicial Review and Oversight Committee,
like review cases of students on an unusual basis is like not something that a lot of professors were into. So it involved a lot of like going to people's office and being like, please, Professor Dixon, and then and being like, I can't, I'm releasing 2 papers this semester. It's like, yeah. But what their job actually is in the room is not like constitutionally defined, and that's another reason why it's kind of hard to convince people to do it. But it's just some things require a faculty member. Yeah.
The SCC scheduling, is that going to be sent out to SEPCs?
Yes,
Okay.
that's going to be sent out to SEPCs and my senators once I can see if I can convince conference ops to let me hold it in one of the big rooms in the HSSC. So that's tomorrow morning. What I'm doing is going in and convincing, trying to see if they can do that. Yeah.
What is SCC?
Where?
What is it?
Oh, what is it? Student Curriculum Committee is where student educational policy committees come together and most of the time just discuss issues that are like related to things coming out of the college's curriculum committee, which I get reports from and like assign students to. And sometimes they have things that they particularly want student input on, or that like I think student input is particularly important to. And so those are sort of the typical things. This year I'm hoping to also expand it a little bit to do some outreach events and to actually be like putting on things and creating like an actual product out of everyone's work, because instead of just requiring people to come like every other week and sit down and just like talk and then leave and then like they trust that I go and I use that information wisely, I want to like help them put on things and like learn skills and be able to apply those to individual SEPCs while also helping out academics at large at Grinnell. Yeah.
I know you're like kind of a part of like the HUS, whatever, like, can you like speak a little bit to like how it's going in progress? Like how long will I see like people painting, you know?
Oh, geez. I mean, okay, so,
You know?
like, I don't know, some of the things are really up in the air. I don't know when Dazzle is getting its wall. Yeah, like that's something that's like, it might not happen until like, there are some things that, there's a lot of different things. The main construction work, like the things that are getting in our way, and like the loud things that are like bothering you during class should largely be done by spring break. So after spring break, we should come back, and then also, I really, really hope we have the new furniture in after spring break. I really hope so. There's no guarantee. We ordered so much furniture, and they have to like make it all, because we ordered so much furniture. And so like, they're still like building it and shipping it. It's really nice stuff. There's a chair, it's called the Swoop. You're able to sit on it any way. You can like, you're able to like lay your legs over it, like sit on the arms, and like supports you in all these different directions. It's a really nice thing. Oh, do you have a follow-up? No, all right, yeah.
Can you explain what this research conference is, the idea?
Yes, so this is a really cool thing. This is actually Quinn gave this idea to me, but I think this would be a really cool thing to do before the journal. Have students, when they're submitting work to the Grinnell Undergraduate Research Journal, be submitting it as well to like a mini conference that could be hosted in like the HSSC, in the new atrium, right? We could have people like give money to people to print up posters and like deliver presentations that, unless you were doing a map, you typically wouldn't be able to get that experience. And it's also another opportunity for those students to get more feedback on their work, so that what's being published in the journal is as high quality as we can get. So that's basically the idea. Would be basically a little mini undergraduate research conference, and trying to use that as like this year as the starting point of that, and see where it goes in the future. Yeah, if there's any like ideas or thoughts on that, I would absolutely love to hear it. Yes.
Is there like who's working on that, and like is there like a committee, or is there like, is that part of the GERS thing?
Yeah, it'll be part of the GERS. It'll be that will be something that, and that's something I don't know necessarily if it is something that actually can happen, but it will most likely be a mix of planning coming from the GERS editors, and then also the Student Curriculum Committee. And that's one of the events that I was talking about, doing more things for academics at large. That would be one of the things where I'd be hoping to get input from the SEPC members on what that would look like, and also getting those students to come and participate. Yeah.
So at the PPR, the Posse Plus retreat I was at, a bunch of students brought up their concern with the mural that's on the north side of the new building that has a bunch of
The green one?
Yeah, that's a bunch of references to slavery, and there are pictures of slaves like on some of the different tiles, and they were asking about ways to get that taken down because it made them feel very uncomfortable.
I would think talk to Leslie Greg Jolly. The artwork is not being like handled by a committee. I don't know where that's going, but I can find out. Do you think you would be the person I should get back to, or is there someone who I should?
Yeah, you can
contact.
Yeah, you can just contact me, and then I can.
Okay, yeah, I'll look into that and I'll see. Thanks.
Okay.
I was in, like, I know that that was like part of my tutorial, we did some of the blocks. And so I know it was like a famous artist came in. And I think it was, yeah, but, like I know, yeah, I feel like there are like particular names like on there, like you could talk to like crafts that were involved and maybe see like specific blocks, because each block is designed by a specific person. You could like talk to the people that made them and say.
Other, yes, sorry.
No, yeah, no, that's fine. Regarding the furniture, is that also being made by prison labor, like the dorm furniture, or is that being purchased from like other companies?
No, but actually one thing that wasn't, I don't think was very like highly talked about was that in the process actually of moving all the furniture into the building, because that was also like an extremely like time constrained process, they did use prison labor for that. That's a fairly consistent thing that the college does, uses Iowa Prison Industries. If you have thoughts on that, you should email President Kington, Dean Latham, definitely. That may or may not, I don't know, I have not heard any planning, but when the furniture comes in, I think it will probably come in a large shipment, and just guessing, I would think that'd be something that they would consider doing again. So I have no guarantee, this is not something that level of the planning process I'm not involved in, the moving of the furniture into the building, but something to consider emailing Dean Latham about. I think would probably be the main person. Yeah?
To clarify, the college pays the prison industry to move the furniture into the building.
Yeah, like out of trucks and into the building, and like put it where it's supposed to go. Yeah. And most of the time it's like, it's like just moving. It's just moving, yeah.
What?
It's like instead of a moving company, they hire Iowa Prison Industries. Any other questions on the report? There are a lot of great questions. I'm really enjoying it. You guys can keep it coming if you want. All right. Seeing none, we move on to President Becker.
I don't have anything to add. I know Peter's not here too, so if you have any questions about that report, or like Concert's report, or Josh's report. I can also write those.
I think.
Yeah.
A couple of reports. All right, questions. Are there any questions on President Becker's, VPSA 2, MOOC, Hostage Chair Christensen, Services Chair Tim Timler, Ace Chair Mystics reports? Yes.
Yeah, what were the reports for Services Chair Tim Timler and Ace Chair Mystics?
Well,
I mean, just like, we're like, I just, like, I think Dylan got them at some point, potentially.
I did receive the ACE report.
Can we read that out?
Yeah.
If you send it to me.
Sorry, I did receive the services report. It's cabinet meeting, org fair. We spent a lot of time prepping for org fair, printed out name cards and planning placements. I helped. Approving new student organizations, cleaning out inactive student organizations on the website. Contacted Samantha Bain to prepare for her setup of election engagement committee, and started planning for EXCO after spring break.
That'll get sent out to you all.
It's in the updated.
Oh, it's in the updated agenda that got sent to you all.
And which we don't have this.
Okay. Were there any questions for any of those reports or any of these? Yes.
I wanted to follow up from like last weekend, because I think this was like Khadijah and like with the harm reduction committee, like I don't know if that's happened yet, but I know the question about like the drink test. It's like, is there any updates on that?
It has not met yet. They met, I was talking about this last week. They met, not this week, but the week before, and then I gave the whole spiel about the legal liability stuff and like waivers for the college, and that's what they talked about. They will be meeting this coming week, because they meet on a bi-weekly basis, and it'll be on the agenda this week, from 11 to noon on Thursdays. So I will have an update, I'll be sure to have an update for that next week.
Other questions, comments? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Do you know what happened in the meeting that PPSA Taboo has maybe been in GPD? What was that meeting about?
Actually, I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. We could email this. I'm sure she would.
Yeah, BPSA is the, other questions or comments for any of these reports? Yes.
Just looking at the President Becker's report, how do you feel about the mascot being pioneers? I just like typed in like pioneer definition like to Google, and the synonyms, like the first one is like colonist and colonizer, and like that doesn't make me feel great.
We were on stolen land.
Yeah, like another thing, like I genuinely like didn't even know the mascot was like pioneers like for a while, like low key. I like don't know how often the mascots like used, right? Like I don't know, but that's all that I know.
Treasurer voting.
Yeah. I actually have another thing now that that's question. Rob Love thinks we're the box squirrels, so I say we just embrace that. But also, I have an addition to my report. I was reminded because of the bit of Joshua's report about the election engagement committee. That's a student group-oriented committee that's going to be working with the Iowa State Department on election engagement. However, Grinnell College is also part of a consortium out of Tufts, which shares student election engagement data amongst schools as a common data set type thing. And part of that commitment is also having like an actual campus committee dedicated to like civic engagement and voter turnout. That's a thing that would last for like in perpetuity, not just like when elections are coming up. And that is something that SGA is going to be working on with our Trish over the rest of the semester and then into the future.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to the pioneer thing. First of all, Riley, who is like taking the lead on like this discussion about it? Because I've always wondered about how we're going, why nobody is like wanting to change the mascot. First of all, because there's no visual representation of a pioneer. Because to have that, you just have to have like a white guy walking around the field. So, like, yeah, why can't we make it squirrel?
I think this came out of the Council on Diversity and Inclusion, yeah.
So for background on this, we're working on a land apology with the Meskwaki group out by Tama because like Terry said, like this land was just kind of like stolen.
Even though it is written down that it's peacefully given, we are on stolen land.
It's not even written down as peacefully given. If you purchase land in town, it gives you like the documentation of everyone who's owned that land previously. And like the first instance is like to J.B. Grinnell from the United States government. And so like there's nothing before that. Like the government just always owned this land apparently, which is not true.
But the government said they would this one is given correctly. This particular piece of land later on.
So they're working on that. And then we were just kind of having a discussion, and then people are like, "How do you feel about pioneers being the?" I don't even know what to call it. It's not really a mascot. But then I think the squirrel is our mascot.
No.
Yeah,
squirrel.
Pioneers are official.
Yeah.
It's coming. This is the land shark.
So the issue is that this discussion has come up before, and it kind of quickly turns Mimi into trying to get us to be the squirrels. And I think there's like a legitimate discussion for moving away from pioneers. And I think it's difficult to determine what direction we move from there.
All right, if we could all focus in, make sure to like minimize your conversations and focus on the speaker.
Yeah, so this is something that CDI is going to continue looking into, something that Regina will be taking over next year. She's a member of that committee. And so like keep that conversation going because I think that's like, I think it's really interesting to hear like the instantaneous synonyms. Because like I Googled that, that was kind of my own personal experience, but I think like seeing that actually on Google just like, I don't know, does not sit well with me. So I think like that's something I imagine most of us could agree is like probably not the best. So, further comments? Yes.
I just have a question about the land ecology. Does that involve any sort of like monetary reparations, or is it just like a document?
As far as I know, it's just a document, but during the next meeting, I'll bring that up. This is something we've been working on at a subcommittee that was then bubbled up to the committee, and so I'm not like fully informed on it, but I'll make sure to kind of get all the details from Ari and then bring it back here.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to say you're sorry for stealing something is to pay for it at least. That's not just like to be added to the conversation.
College has $2 billion.
How's that?
Further comments or questions? Any of these last reports? All right, then we'll move on to the motion to adjourn. President-elect Logan got first, second. All right, and so we will move on to the vote. All who are in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All those abstaining, say aye. And we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.